Really, no?
Oh, you do so. Peter, we love you.
Right, let's go for it. Help if I could play my own fucking song. Last night I dreamt about you, like a scene from an old movie screen. You were just how I remember, and the world was the way it had been to me, to me. Lived in a world so perfect, we had no right to exist. Now that I'm looking back at it, thinking how did it all come to this? You're so far away, and it's a long way back. I live for the sun. I thought the sun lived for me. I've lived and I've learned that it's all live in me. I don't know how I got here. I was chasing the sunrise, it seems. And every road I went down to find it, I found the sunrise that was chasing me. I've had everything I wanted and everything I didn't need. Now that I don't have either, I wonder where it leaves me. You're so far away, it's a long way back. I live for the sun. I thought the sun lived for me. I've lived and I've learned. Now it's living me. I live for the sun. I thought the sun lived for me. I've lived and I've learned that it's all live in me. I stare at photographs of you. They seem so long ago, not real. Back then the world was the right way up. At least that's how it seemed to me. To me. To me. To me. Sorry if that was a bit loud.
That was amazing. Yeah, fantastic. Welcome everybody to our Creative Connections on a Saturday afternoon. Oh, that was amazing, Peter. I think you get better and better. So we've got a great wee show on here today. Donna, how are you? It's good
Hi,
to see
Becky.
you.
I'm good. Had a good week, started work. Still got to do some of the stuff I love to do. So yeah, good week.
Oh, it's good.
The hardest thing I had to do this week was phone up and cancel my benefits claim. That was the hardest thing.
A good feeling, isn't it? It's a really good feeling. Yeah, I remember. Oh, so busy. And what have you got lined up for us this week?
So somebody I've been lucky enough to connect with in my own recovery is Garry Fraser, filmmaker, in his own form of recovery as well.
Yeah.
Just a bit different for 12-step recovery, but again in recovery. And yeah, so Gary's going to chat a bit about his project that he's doing just now and his filmmaking. Yeah,
brilliant. So it's good to have you along, Garry. I think that's at the Forth Valley North Lanarkshire recovery community, it's something that we really we treasure, is that it's not about doing what we tell you to do in particular. We've got great ideas on what's worked for us, but there's not a big stick telling people that they're doing their recovery wrong. I don't agree with that. I think, and I know a few people now. I didn't when I was first in recovery. I didn't because I was a member of a fellowship, and that was what worked for me. And most of the people I knew were involved in fellowship. But over the years, I have met people who've worked their own form of recovery. Quite a few people, and quite a lot of those people have done it through embracing the sort of creative side as well. I know a few writers that have come to recovery and written about it, and that's how they've processed that information and sort of worked on that. So it's great to have you here, Garry, and maybe it would be interesting just for you to let us know a little bit about
that. Like for me, when I went to meetings, like after 22 years of using, and I was suddenly found myself in meetings with some of the most inspirational people, who some of them are no longer here, some of them are, but it's human nature. And I just felt when I was going to meetings, is if you could go to every meeting and it would greatly enhance your well-being, I probably wouldn't have been away from it. But at some point, I felt with myself, because I still smoke cannabis, that there was an ideological split for what I believed was good for me in terms of healing, for trauma and violence and abuse and all the usual effects of poverty and stuff like that. And now, I train like an athlete. I know I'm smoking a cigarette. I've been out for a 4-kilometer run this morning. I've hit a bag outside. I train obsessively as well. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm not complacent to know that cigarette, like nicotine, I go 2 days without nicotine and I'm back to being a 13-year-old boy again, and I'm broken every time I try and do it. It's like that brick wall. Do you know what I mean? I just run up against it every time. But art is how I change my community, and art is how I change myself, and art is how I change quite a lot in my environment. And I guess that's where sometimes now I'm not a service in my community. I'm just a person, but sometimes my life experience helps other people come away for prescriptions. 2 seconds. Are you okay? Let me put it there. Hands are cold. 2 seconds. Hurry up. Tell me. Hurry. Tell me.
I scratched my...
Right, I'll kiss it better. Right. I'll do it in 5 minutes. But I think that way of changing is for me, a lot of people, when I came back into my area of using after being away for 10 years, I realised very quickly that next to nobody had changed. The services had got worse. And the way we view addiction, even in light of all the new information around ACEs and meetings and fellowship, at some point it's lost because it's strategy and boardroom level, it's lost. You know, the people who make decisions are not the same people that sit with families, and are not the same people that sit. So like for me, I guess I hold myself to account and try and be an example in my community and try and be a leader in my community and a change in my community. And that means no running to a journalist every 5 minutes to tell them my thoughts and opinions so people can gather my views on life. Like we speak to each other in the street. Like I take over these schemes in the north of Edinburgh, like nobody can, the way I make a music video or the way that I make short films or the way that I make TV shows or the way that I do my art, because it empowers people who feel like they didn't have a voice. And that for me is unique in Scotland. And it's, you know, the other day there, was it yesterday, I was sitting in a conversation with BBC Scotland, Creative Scotland, 2 exec producers for a fucking TV show that's worth over 60 million quid. And I'm sitting there just this guy in Poughton with a dream, but knowing that my thoughts, my opinions are valued now, and I'm becoming that director. I visualised myself when I was in addiction, when I was going to a chemist, and I was, everybody was telling me, go up on your methadone, take Mare Valleys and all that shit, do you know what I mean? So that, try to come away from NHS and try to come away from services and going to acupuncture and going to yoga and going to breathing exercises and going to a range of other things that didn't involve prescription medication.
Yeah.
So that for me is just part of my lifestyle, but also part of my filmmaking process as well. So a lot of guys who are maybe just out of jail or they've been involved in quite a lot of violence, but they've been sitting around idle for 5, 6, 7 years with no really a lot to do. So coming along to my acting workshops, they have something cathartic, they have, it's therapy. Anybody that comes along to my workshops will tell you that, you know, it's absolute therapy, because for the first time in years, guys speak about their emotions in a safe environment. And I guess that's what happens at meetings as well. You know, you have this environment that's created and this energy that's created. And I guess I feel like I've maybe been inspired a wee bit by meetings and what happens, but taking my own version of that to say, you know.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think part of like my experience was similar. That you know, I had a drug problem, and I thought for a long time that if I had a drug problem, somebody would help me come off drugs through the health system. And it wasn't really my experience. You know, it kept me trapped in that sort of cycle. And I think it's something we do in our recovery community is really similar to what you do as an individual. As you know, we provide an environment that really supports people to get better and find out what they love, and to be able to express themselves in whatever way that might be. So I think we've got one of your films. I think Mikey will just get that up and running, and after that, Donna's going to have a chat with you just about the filmmaking and so,
Yes.
so just when you're ready, Mikey, we'll get that up and running.
Fear drives like media narratives, and it's like everybody's polarized and extreme and fucking it's just constant, and I guess like coming in here and making films and stuff like that, like it's a reaction to it, do you know what I mean? It's art, and it's just it's a reaction to it. We're all hurting and we've all been through stuff, do you know what I mean? So the perspectives that we're coming from are underrepresented by government, underrepresented by media, so like it's up to us to empower ourselves. So what I'm going to do is have you see the CCTV bit, right?
The newspapers talk shit all the time. Everything that gets posted, it gets changed, and other stories don't add up to what actually happens, you know what I mean? This is all real life, you'll see, you know what I mean? This is what happens on a day-to-day basis at the end of the day, and it's how we live our life.
Hey Christy, we're going to get you doing it for here again.
Sexy jammy
Please.
Saturday.
It's so much easier just containing it all down here, but you've got one shop there, another shop there, and you just know everything. It's like, Poughton's all right. For the camera, Poughton's all right, but Muirhouse is different.
There's a lot of good things that happen in this community, but the community are doing it themselves. Their funding, all donations, so helping Garry, it brings all different walks of life together that are in a common goal, change. I'm doing it just because it's what's working for me, for my recovery. and it's helping a lot. I'll pass this on to people, listen, give it a try. Change is the most difficult thing, and the most difficult thing is stepping into that bed in the morning. That's your first hurdle. And then life, it's a serious challenge for myself because of the background that I've come from. If I can make one wee guy choose not to go down that life that I've done, I'll be happy. I'll be more than happy.
The process of supply and demand is probably more and just as interesting as the final product. It's I guess not just filmmaking, but like art has a great way of including people and letting them feel like they have a voice where other mediums and other platforms let them down. So like for me, supply and demand is probably a reaction to loads of people sitting about with no real opportunities in front of them in terms of COVID and lockdown and what that means. So I've took a bunch of non-actors and tried to work with them basically to become screen actors. And you use emotional recall with some of the guys, but also I guess trying to find the storytellers as well, where I can sit and write, but including some of the guys in the writing process and including some of them into bringing their social issues into the bigger screen as well makes it really interesting, you know. I guess the guys feel part of a community, the way we put it together, you know. And I also think that they feel like they have a voice for issues, whether it be stuff on race, whether it be stuff on social status, whether it be on drug culture, you know, whether it be all that sort of stuff. So I guess the guys feel like they're contributing and also getting paid back in the way that I'll direct them.
So I'd heard obviously that was an ex-addict and that was used on the crew of Trainspotting 2, and I was in rehab when I seen Trainspotting 2. And then in my recovery I started going out and kind of documenting Scottish hip hop, and I met Garry and Sketchy, and then for there a kind of working relationships kind of developed. You know, I like what he does. He's in recovery and he's out there doing stuff. And I just come along and help him out, try to show what's happening in schemes and try and changing things and people's attitudes. And it's people from outside the schemes that come in with, not to diss anybody, but that have been to uni, they come in with degrees and they think they know what's needed in the schemes. And it's no engaging, they don't kind of work with the people, whereas Garry's fee here, Garry knows them, he knows the pressures they face, he knows what they're looking for, he knows how to engage them, and that's the difference.
Nothing's open at that, so you're just walking about the streets doing the same thing over and over again. As soon as you get put under that category, like youth, you just get forgot about. Usually about 12, 13. Those ages, like early teenagers, I'd say that's when most like youths and stuff start mucking about. Like the people that like misbehave and that, they just get put to the side. Like governments, police and that, they couldn't care about them. All they want's them behind bars, and then they'll wait for the public and stuff. Well, somebody who's had a private education and that, all they do is look up to them.
Yeah, a big bonfire, Pilton bonfire. Cleaned all the back green up as well, so obviously they didn't mourn all that mess there. And then that'll just get all burnt and it'll be alright.
All the shite for Pilton that the council will not take away. There's something to do, there's nothing else to do in this place. Fuck all. You would think they would actually do something for us. It's been like this for about fucking 10, 12 years, maybe longer, but every cunt stuck together and all that. It was an actual community. Now they're cunts. It's a shithole. We just didn't care about cunts, All they care about is the fucking money and fucking new houses and shit.
Thinking back to me and tell me, did you cry? Thinking back to me and Chesney taking high speeds, 120s on the bypass and 50s on the side street. Remember what he said when the speedies got behind these. We died taking change before they caught us in the shite heap. Old school, black box, Civic like an M-Reg. Away for 30 hours doing tons of pain and dead ends. Street cuts way before we knew what street cred meant. High school attendance below 23%. And primary school was the same, mummy stuck on gear. And dad was lying down in jail for a couple of years. Parents did my work, I picked her up just so my mum appeared. Head teacher told her, get him here, we'll get him up a year. In a school with the majority's middle class and white. She said it's great, but P6 and 2 class divide. 60 odd pupils and no one's work was advanced as mine. But what's mad, I wasn't even there like half the time. But hated school and then the
That was great, really powerful.
So, do you want to tell us what's the kind of barriers you face doing what you do?
I think you face elitism, well-intentioned elitism. I think 9 times out of 10 people have an idea of the world that they want to create for you, but they have this idea for a world that they didn't inhabit. So when some truths come out in front of the camera, they're evident that everybody knows that that's a truth. And I guess that's why I love filmmaking, do you know what I mean? So the challenges are pretty much, for me, I think that people who have successfully battled the demons of addiction and sort of hit that recovery 2.0 part of life, not just done meetings or not just done smart, do you know what I mean? People who have actually went, right, okay, how do I take this negative shit that I've had and turn it into a positive? Like, that's devalued a lot. So it means that, like, when somebody like me comes along, like, I want to come into this world and create other writers, create other filmmakers, create other people who have that similar experience, because then the narrative starts changing when they go back into their communities and paint portraits. And I guess at the moment in the schemes in Scotland, there's a world that just doesn't exist in TV and film. So I've had to try and look at a platform like YouTube and say, right, well, how do I take an idea like supply and demand, which, if you think about it, really it's a branding thing. It's a fucking social experiment that I didn't know how it's going to work, but I've had to pitch it as a drama series and aim it for Netflix and Amazon and all that other stuff that you would do with a drama series. But at the moment, it's a saviour of mental health, essentially, because there is nothing. I'm staying in an area where there's no services due to COVID and the pandemic and stuff like that. There's just fucking 3 stabbings in the last week, suicides through the roof. There's a massive bleak picture around here. So to try and then go, right, how do you take the storylines? How do you be inspired by that? But then also, it's frustrating because maybe somebody will come to you and say, I want to do this. And then you have to go, oh, by the way, there's a big system in place that's going to hopefully stand in your way and try and not let you do this and try and not let you be free as an artist and try and criticise. And essentially, that's what you're doing. You're criticising the police, you're criticising the social fucking graphics of the area. You're kind of challenging a lot of that stuff, and that's prejudice, but there's no other way to do it. So the challenges that we face is the usual shit: funding, being able, COVID is massive. Just to get people into a building is I've felt less dodgier selling crack than what I have tried to do an acting workshop, which is ironic, you know, really ironic. But it's that sort of stuff. And then on top of that, you're dealing with real life people, so they're all going through their own issues. So you're having to try and work with them on a Wednesday, but also try and work with them away for the Wednesday to try and keep them on track a wee bit and try and offer options in life rather than, you know, 3 people have kind of got clean since we've started this. 3 people have came up prescriptions and got their shit together. Like, that's, fuck, I don't know what you call that. Without a meeting, without a psychologist, I don't know what you call that. But that's a beautiful thing. Just even if it doesn't go to BBC or anywhere in the world, just the fact that there's an emotional economic benefit. That's a word that I just made up, my emotional economics. But aye.
So you won a BAFTA for Everybody's Child. I don't know if folks seen it. So it's on my YouTube just for educational purposes. But you won, and then you were part of Trainspotting, and then you done the grey area. So folk think that you've already kind of got over some of the barriers, but you still face them now, even with the successes under your belt.
Donna, one is known by the company that one keeps. I'm surrounded by people who are still ball deep in the shit because my area is still ball deep in the shit. I'm very rarely around film people because I find them pretentious. I'm very rarely around other people who create because I didn't really find them in my area. So 9 times out of 10, I'm in the shadows with people who are PTSD and all the rest of it. And then I kind of try and use that as my writing palette. Do you know what I mean? So I'm glad that I didn't get a job on Trainspotting, win a BAFTA and go and stay in Stockbridge and Morningside and never look back. You know, I'm glad that didn't happen because then I wouldn't have this to write about. Do you know what I mean? And films is just one of the vehicles. It could be music, it could be whatever. Do you know what I mean? But there's a relevance there. So
I think we just heard that we've got a 5-minute. Becky, do you want to come in with anything?
Thanks, Donna. Yeah, I find that I'm quite relieved. You're probably not, but I'm quite relieved that you haven't moved on to Morningside and you're hobnobbing with the beautiful people, because I think then you lose that passion, don't you? You lose the sort of realness of the story. And you know what an amazing thing to have people find recovery and a bit of hope in that, you know, and because the answer isn't to move people out of the areas that they love. The answer is to make those communities a beautiful place to live, you know, that life that everybody deserves. And if this adds that small part in the journey to doing that, then well done, you know. I think it's amazing, and hopefully we can do some joint working at some point. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, man.
So I think we are running out of time, but I'd love to hear another song from Peter, and maybe just to get Peter's thoughts on, you know, I know, Peter, you use music as your vehicle to looking at that you know, the trauma and to sort of, it's a form of therapy, isn't it? It doesn't matter what the art is, it's a form of therapy, definitely.
But definitely, Becky, and it was a really good message. I really enjoyed that. I think that anybody getting any recovery in an environment where the darkness just sucks the life out of you is amazing. Do you know what I mean? Because that type of world, many people don't escape from. Do you know what I mean? I grew up in a scheme, and you're not really expected to make it. So when somebody does, it's a beautiful thing. Do you know what I mean? And anybody that can turn anything internal and an external thing, like a feeling, and turn it into a song or a film or a poem or something, it's beautiful. Do you know what I mean? Because it stops you. It does for me. It stops me holding in. Do you know what I mean? And it helps me make sense of the past that I've had and the things that I've done. I find that when I put them into songs and words, it's a language I understand. Do you know what I mean? And same way, any kind of media like film, you know, people can really relate to that, I think, and it helps really hammer home a message. You know what I mean? It's a really powerful medium. So to see such a strong, you know, any kind of message of recovery carried is beautiful, but to see it done in such a way is, I find it really powerful. I really do. And thanks for sharing that with us as well.
I just seen your name.
Tune, maybe.
I just seen your name there, the Methotones. That's brilliant.
It was a play on methadone.
Would you like to take us out with just a wee introduction of your song you're going to take us out with?
Aye, hang on, you're going to hear a noise for a second. I was actually in the middle of writing a song, but I'm not going to play it because it's not quite finished yet, as always.
For next week.
Seems to be my thing, but and just kind of looking at that film, actually, I'm going to play something else, and it's about where that world will take you, basically, or where you could be, or where you end up and where you come from. Come with me, I'd like you to meet a friend of mine you may have met before, but just to be sure, why don't you take the time to help you how to deal with this cold hard life, and teach you how to live in a world of pain. come with me down this lonely road. You might have been before. I'll be at your side no matter what you find. Who could ask for more? She'll help you not to feel with this cold hard life. And all you'll ever find is a world of pain. You can turn your back, you can walk away, but I'm always here at the drop of a hat, at the ends of the earth. You'll find me near. I win every time I beat the greatest minds. Come and try your best, and when I'm done with you, go and take your place besides all the rest. Once I'm done, you'll never be the same, 'cause all I'll ever bring is a world of pain. World of pain.